Rent.
Electric bill. So, yun yung malaking, napupuntahan ng chunk nung sahod ko.
Household expenses basically. So, kuryente, tubig, ano ba? Grocery.
Pagkain.
Pagkain sa araw-araw, gatas, gas, para sa service, pagpasok. Yun lang po.
Maybe mga 50, gano'n? 50%?
Siguro, hindi ko alam, siguro siya, mga nasa 10 to 20.
Wait, siguro mga 40%?
70% ko sa pagkain.
50 po, 50.
Today we're going to talk about 5 ipon tips that can change your life. Some people have a significant amount of business income or salary but are unable to save. On the other hand, there are some people who have an average amount of income or salary but they are able to manage their money wisely. What makes them different? It's in the form of budgeting. Today we're going to talk about 5 ipon tips that can change your life. Ipon tip number 1 is track your expenses. Track your expenses. There's a saying that goes, what gets measured gets done, and what gets measured gets evaluated. How can you manage your expense if you don't know what your biggest expense is? So that's ipon tip number 1, track your expenses. What you can do is to download a budget app. You can also encode your expenses in an Excel file so that at the end of the month, you can evaluate what was your biggest expense. And then on the next month, you can already manage and say to yourself and come up with next steps to decrease or increase certain budget categories or certain expense categories. So that's ipon tip number 1. Ipon tip number 2 is manage your expense. So now that you have tracked what is your biggest expense, now you can manage it. You can allocate a certain portion of your budget to certain expense. So you can only do that if you already tracked your expense and now you can manage it. And of course, what you want to do is to live below your means. What does that mean? If this is your income in the form of business or salary, live below this. And for the difference, that would be your savings. If you live above your means, then you would go into debt. Ipon tip number 3 is to pay your debts. The best-selling book of all time tells us that the borrower is a slave to the lender. If you have debt, whether it's the credit card company, a bank, an institution, a person, you are a slave to that lender as long as you have debt. What you want to do is to come up with next steps and plans and strategies so that you can pay off your debt even in small increments. If you can pay it off one time, that would be great. But if you can't do that, then allocate a certain portion of your budget, whether it's 5 to 10%, to pay off your debts. If I'm the lender, I would rather have you pay me in small increments rather than not reply to me or not addressing your obligation. Ipon tip number 4 is save first before spending. Save first before spending, because if you spend first before saving it, chances are your savings will be much less. What's a good ratio to practice? You can start with 70-20-10. 70% for your expenses, 20% for your savings, 10% could go to charitable giving like tithing to your church or supporting an institution and giving back to society. So that's 70-20-10. Ipon tip number 5 is maximize your saving. You want to be able to save up 6 months worth of expenses as a form of emergency fund so that when something undesirable comes your way, you are ready. You are ready. That's your goal. If you have it, great. If you don't have it yet, then you want to be able to save up for it. And you want to maximize that fund by putting it in the bank first to generate interest. You want to put it in a time deposit account or digital banks like GCash, CIMB, or ING that generate about 3.1% to 4%, which is quite high for a savings account, or park it in money market funds. So again, I'm not talking about investments yet. I'm talking about savings. You want to maximize your savings so that at least it's generating income and while you're parking it in the bank or in a fund. So those are 5 ipon tips. Thank you very much and God bless you.